Price of Milk is a love story. It's the story of Rob and Lucinda, who are an incredibly happy couple who live on a dairy farm in a beautiful rolling green valley. And Rob milks the cows, and Lucinda is incredibly in love with him.
The Price of Milk is a magical romp in the hay. Add a few fairy tales, possibly Rumpelstiltskin, and Cinderella, and 3 pigs, add a herd of cows, and you might be pretty much close to the price of milk.
Rob is a sensitive guy. He is a simple man. He loves his animals, he loves his farm and his dog, and he loves Lucinda. And he sees things in a very straightforward fashion.
What do you reckon? But she starts to doubt that he loves her. She starts to suspect that the spark is going out of their relationship.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Stop stealing the quilt.
I won't.
Well, somebody was.
The quilt that keeps them warm at night goes missing, and Lucinda is really upset. She sees the quilt as a symbol of the warmth of their relationship, and she goes to great lengths to get back the quilt.
I wasn't even very upset about our quilt disappearing.
Your quilt?
Yeah.
Stolen.
You think so?
Yeah, there's been quite a lot of quilt theft lately.
Really?
So I hope you don't want a new one, because we're completely out. And the blankets.
What am I going to do?
Sleeping bags?
No, about Rob. Serious. The signs are unmistakable.
You get to see her go from this wonderfully free-spirited young woman to this incredibly paranoid, delusional young thing.
Drosophila and Lucinda are actually the best of friends. Like, they're best friends, have grown up together, that sort of thing, in the same small community. And so that's why when Lucinda's in trouble, she just wants to give the best advice she can.
I kind of wondered in the beginning why Drosophila and Lucinda would be friends, and I thought, well, they are friends. That is the quintessential friendship relationship, is that you have the right to come and piss your friends off and to experience your relationship on all different levels.
Where is he? Maybe he ran out of petrol.
2 days ago.
How could he do this to me? I'm not that bad, am I? Damn him.
You deserve better.
Yeah.
Look, I hate to say this, but I never really liked him.
What?
Yeah, he isn't right for you.
Yes, he is. He's so right for me. I love him.
You're overreacting.
We need to bring the car way in further, I think. Okay. The process of making the price of milk, I guess, evolved out of the process of making my previous film, Topless Women Talk About Their Lives. And we stumbled upon a way of working that involved shooting only 2 or 3 days a week, and during the rest of the week we'd be writing and editing what we'd just done. And the wonderful thing that came out of that was that you were sort of able to take advantage of what was happening and what was working and what really felt great about the performances, and other things you could let slide because they weren't so good. So it was a very organic process.
On a normal film, you would have a script that would be in place well before you started shooting, and that script is the Bible. Everybody works to that script.
And basically sort of come out at the same time.
On our film, anything is possible, and it's kind of my job to make sure that everything is still possible.
you're just there. You've got nothing else except what you're standing up in, and the piece of paper and the crew around you and all these things. And it really is improvisational filmmaking, as in we're there having to make up an emotional scene on the spot, without any thought about it.
You'd go to work each day and you would have no idea about what it was that you were going to do. So while it was challenging, it was also actually quite liberating, because it forced you to abandon any possible preconception about, what it was that you're going to do, and that made you just kind of work truthfully moment to moment, which is, basically, the goal of what you want to try and do. And so that worked fine most of the time, except sometimes you'd turn up at work, and like this one particular time I turned up and Harry said, well, today your character's going to lose his voice.
You right, mate? What's he talking about? He wants his cows back.
I never ever knew what Harry would have in store for me, because we had no idea what was going to be scripted that weekend.
Can you see your face?
Yeah, I was worried that curtain was what.
I really like the idea of making a film that was like in a way, a special effects movie, but it has no special effects in it. Everything's just done in the camera, or it's kind of like, it's asking the audience to have, to go along with the idea of magic in this incredibly sort of naive and silly way. You can have very expensive special effects and not create any magic at all.
Hi.
Sorry about that.
There's a kind of Indian theme in the story, and that only occurs because the local shop here is run by the Barner family, and they ended up actually catering for the film crew. They would cook us these wonderful curries.
It's awful, it's for you.
And we shot the scenes in their shop.
Hello?
And these are things that just kind of appear because of the process. I could never have written that in advance.
Well, Harry and I were having a meeting one day about the character and about the project, and I said, listen, this guy's a dairy farmer, and all farmers have dogs. He should have a dog.
And I couldn't disagree with them. Farmers, often do have dogs, but I was aware of how difficult, if the main character was going to have a dog in every scene, it was just going to be, we'd never get the film shot, because, it's quite hard to work with a dog. They don't do the same thing in every take. So suddenly occurred to me that the dog could be in the film without us having to see it.
Hey, good boy. Hey, come here. Who's a good boy then, eh? Who's a good boy? You're the boy.
How's his agoraphobia?
It's still pretty bad.
Most people have a dog that they put down,
Title for this film?
Batgirl.
The title came very late in the piece. I didn't know what it was called for ages. In fact, it was called Harry's Thing. No, I didn't put it.
Or The Other Woman. Next.
This is today's list.
Somehow it felt right when I thought of these words, the price of milk. That felt right because the story is about, it's about weighing up what's worth what, and in this world of dairy farming, milk is what it's all about.
I want to buy my quilt back. How much will it cost? How much have you got? Not much. That's no good. Well, there must be something.
And so there's this kind of idea of dealing, of making deals. What's worth what, and what will you swap for this and that. So that's kind of what the film's about, really.
It's nice here. Come on, man. Come on, man. You come.
Let's go.
No way.
No,
Come on. Come on.
The water's yucky.
I was looking for locations for this film, and I actually, by chance, stumbled upon some of this very magical Russian music from like 1910, particularly a piece called The Enchanted Lake by Lyadov, and that was kind of the first spark, really, because it was, even just the title made me think, wow, you know, sort of a magical, romantic idea popped into my head, I suppose, and seeing these hills and these landscapes and hearing this music seemed to just click.
In some ways it's an odd thing to do, to go all the way to Russia to record beautiful music that we could record here. But in another way it felt very right, because the images of the film are very much to do with fairy tale and fable, and the turn of the century Russian music that had captivated Harry has a very romantic, otherworldly feel.
In Russia, Собор Василия Блаженного. In Russia.
Thank you.
Not for all.
Okay. A Russian cellist called Alexander Ivashkin has been living in New Zealand, and he told us about this orchestra, and well, it turned out to be an extraordinary experience. A wonderful 100-piece orchestra with a famous conductor called Mr. Polyansky, who was extremely impressive man. I don't know much about classical music because, you know, I've never been a classical music buff, but the power of a really great orchestra, especially when they're playing music that you already know and love, is just like, wow. I knew from very early on that Leon Nabi had to shoot this film because he just has this wonderful vision, that cinematic vision of New Zealand land.
I just think he's a magician, and having a magician as a cinematographer on a film that is largely about magic and beauty and beautiful landscapes seemed like a very sensible idea.
I remember standing there one day between shots with Leon, and he was gazing at a hill. And I was looking at, trying to figure out what it was that he was actually looking at. It just looked like a hill to me. And so I asked him, I said, you know, why are you staring at this hill with such intensity, you know? What are you looking at? And then he went on and proceeded to explain to me the textures and the contours of the hill and how the roads cut into the side of the hill and the shapes that they made, you know, and the definition of the land. And suddenly I found myself looking at this environment that we were working in a whole different way.
The Price of Milk uses landscapes in the same way that something like Dr. Zhivago might do or something. It kind of harkens back to old filmmaking with its lush score, and it's a film.
I like it because it's a big romantic film, but it's not cliched, and it isn't, nothing happens in a way that you would expect to happen. So there is absolutely no way you could go to this film and think you know what you're going to see, because you can only be surprised. But you can know that at a base level it is a soaring romantic film that you can just let yourself go with.
When I go to the movies, I love it when you're sitting there, you watch the ads and the shorts beforehand, and then the curtains go, and it goes, because then you know it's going to be a widescreen CinemaScope film, and I've always wanted to make one of those. So this is the real idea of going to the movies that I've always imagined.